Girl boss moment number 31,650. You sure have a lot of girl boss moments. Two guys pulled up to me and catcalled me whilst I was bone hunting in the field, so I said, just so you know, the last guy to catcall me is in my bag. And when they looked at me confused, I pulled out the rabbit spine in my bag and smiled. They both drove away screaming, happy face. Called my mom just to tell her I did this. Hashtag another day another slay. Hashtag girl boss. Hashtag anti-catcalling. Hashtag men are awful. Hashtag bone talk. Hashtag California girls. And hashtag I made it all up. Hello Redditors of the internet, Noble Xenon here, and welcome to r/ThatHappened, part 15. Let's get started. So, this next one just doesn't care anymore. I love flirting with straight women, courting them for a while and making them fall for me. Then I stomp on their heart by sending them a crap ton of vids of me sleeping with men. Long essay ensues. I used to feel bad, but straight people have it so much better. I don't care anymore. Oh my lord. And Motorcycle Sidecar says how to communicate that you've never had a boyfriend and you're bitter about it. Have we spotted the rare gay incel? And for this next one, LOL, furry phobic. On r/teenagers, I'm being shunned at school because I hit a furry. I'm being called furry phobic due to punching a furry who made jokes about my nan, who has cancer. Edit, this is really blown up. Edit 2, thanks for the awards. However, one look at their account makes the fakeness so much more obvious. They're on furry hate subs and actually a mod of one. What a dumbass, didn't even make an alt. They clearly either hit a furry to be a D-bag and are fabricating an excuse, or the whole thing is made up. And I'm hoping it's made up. But 2,000 upvotes, r/teenagers will upvote anything. For this next one, couldn't find any info on this. So, some dude in my city was drinking and using LSD with his girlfriend who happens to be a med student, and he woke up at the beach with amnesia and his abdomen open and part of his small intestine precisely removed without any major blood vessels cut, and apparently his girlfriend is from my med school and already out of the country, and I wish I could say this was just another dumb WhatsApp rumor, but I've literally seen the guy's medical record and he very much had part of his intestines removed and was positively filled with sand. And Enduring Conflict replies, completely believable, 100%. With the global climate change shifting and the rising oceans, the cartels are just desperate for beach sand mules to smuggle that precious sand for them. They no longer bother to pay or kidnap and threaten drug mules. Now they simply get med students to sedate somebody into unconsciousness and fill their intestines with sand. Wow. For this next one, yep, clever and charming and no one suspects a thing. On r/true off my chest, people think I'm far smarter than I am since I've been faking a posh British accent for the last several years. I've been regularly complimented on how intelligent and charming and interesting I am by almost everyone I meet. I'm not particularly interesting or amazing at all. All these compliments started happening when I started using a posh English accent. It's actually been hilarious, but enlightening. I'm from New York for reference. I used to turn British whenever I felt misunderstood and wanted to more clearly enunciate something. Then I just started enjoying it, and it became a very natural way to talk. Are British people considered intelligent in the US? Asking as a confused European. I think that only applies to people with so-called posh accents. And now a conversation with their 5-year-old daughter today. Mama, is that truth that Johnny Depp is not Captain Jack Sparrow anymore? Yes, it's truth, unfortunately. Why? Because his ex-wife said he is a bad man. What? It's impossible. He makes sick kids happy. He's not a bad man. But Disney believes her. In that case, Mama, I don't want to go to Disneyland ever again. And I wish Johnny Depp a wife now, which is not lying so horribly. I think the only one lying horribly here is you. For this next one, and then the cured gayness clapped. Newish therapist told me he has to terminate because he's attracted to me. The therapist I'd been seeing for about a year and a half moved recently and is planning to go into research, so online sessions would also soon not be an option. I was actually pretty upset. She's helped me a lot with my anxiety and self-esteem issues. She referred me to a colleague of hers. She thought he would be a good fit, and honestly, I'd never had a male therapist before. I'm a lady, but so far, he had been. He is, or I thought he was. He introduced and described himself as gay, and is married to a man, so I wasn't worried about anything creepy going down. I'd been really enjoying our sessions until today, when he told me that he could no longer see me, said I deserved to know exactly why, and then very frankly but in a decent amount of detail explained that he had developed a strong desire for me. And he had been having fantasies that he didn't feel he had enough control over. He said that he couldn't be a good clinician to me, whilst coveting me and dealing with questioning his sexuality. As he'd believed he was gay since childhood, he refunded me for the 5 sessions we had so far, and gave me several referrals. Ah yes, apparently you're so attractive, you have people questioning their sexuality. And the pancake document says biggest red flag, this is fake, is that he refunded her 5 sessions. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, then why not like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell? For this next one, I was this woman, so I know it's true. My coochie was so sore after that, but all I can say is that I slept well. I woke up the next morning, still couldn't believe it happened. Flew back home, and as I got home, my husband wanted to F. It was funny, because my husband was asking me why my coochie feels different, like it's sort of loose. We hadn't slept together for a week, so it should be tight. I told him maybe my coochie is just too wet and you haven't had it for a while, lol. He didn't think much of it, so I started to think to myself, wow, I am such a... Even though that was the second I ever had, I had to do it again and see if it will happen again if I ever go on my business trips. Well, that's all for this story. I will tell more of my other fun times I had while I was out, happy face, next time on Confessions of a Cheater, or stories from a person who has no idea how vaginas work. For this next one, I assaulted a man on a plane and everyone giggled and the stewardess gave me a lifetime free flight pass. I got into an altercation with some butthole on a plane. We landed 45 minutes late and as we were getting off the plane, I stood in the aisle and gave 2 elderly ladies a chance to get in front of me. The jack behind me says they can wait, I've got places to be, as if he's the only person on the plane inconvenienced by the late arrival. I continue to give the ladies time to exit their seats and I felt a hand yank on my shoulder as he tries to get around me. As he got beside me, I put a shoulder into his chest and sent him sprawling across a row of seats. The ensuing giggles from the other passengers and the flight crew only inflamed him further. The line began to move and he ended up several people behind me before someone else let him in. As I was walking to the gate, I heard him ask one of the flight attendants if they had saw what I did. She said, yes, that was very nice of him to be so patient, go to those ladies. Then the whole airplane roared into applause. For this next one in that pub was in Hogsmeade. What? I owned up to being mistaken. It's not a fantasy that there are people who are now offended by the words woman and girl. I got thrown out of a pub because I was wearing a t-shirt that said the word woman, and someone got offended by it and demanded I was removed. This is a reality, people. The reality of the world. For this next one, having $18,000 for a car is possible, but $19,000? It's a pipe dream, people. What ignorant thing did a car salesman do or say that made you walk out in the middle of a negotiation? I'm a lawyer. I came in shorts and a t-shirt from the beach 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon and saw a used Mercedes with a $22,000 sticker on it. I test drove it and liked it and offered 18 grand. The salesman told me I had to do it in writing and to write it on a piece of paper. He brought to his manager and came back with 21 written on a piece of paper. I wrote 19 in reply, thinking that they were going to say 20 and I'd buy the car. Instead, the salesman jumped out of his seat, crumpled up the paper and threw it at me, hitting me in the forehead. While shouting, "You don't have that much money!" I left a few moments later and faxed them a lawsuit for assault and battery 9 o'clock the next morning. The manager called me and offered me the car for my original $18,000 offer. I made him throw in a new set of tires. Oh yeah, got a car and sued the hell out of him. And now on a post about where you've been banned from. Sunday school when I was 8. Apparently the adults had a problem with an 8-year-old asking analytical questions about their faith. They got especially angry when I told them I thought the tooth fairy was nicer, because she at least leaves money under the pillow for kids while God apparently lets millions of kids starve every year. This struck a nerve with the other kids, and they started asking all sorts of uncomfortable questions. Chaos ensued. It was a thing of beauty. After the adults got things back under control, I was dragged out of the room. The old witch in charge wound up driving me home and proceeded to tell my mom that I was an emissary of Satan and was not allowed on church property again. ever, and that was how I reached the age of reason, happy face. Let me guess, this must be one of those ascended Reddit atheists who think they've owned the entire Christian faith, when really they just annoyed the shit out of everyone. For this next one, sexist man epically beat someone up in the bathroom. I was in a gas station and my 9-year-old daughter went to the restroom and I was over ordering a pizza and a guy came and asked if my daughter just went to the restroom and I said yes, and he said there's a man dressed like a woman and just went in behind her. I went straight over and walked in the restroom and sure enough, he was coming out the stall. I hit him as hard as I could. He fell down, then I kicked him on the face, knocking him out, and I kicked him. I don't know how many more times. My daughter stopped me screaming at me. The cop told me he would have done the same thing. This was 20 years ago. And I got a $250 fine and 10 days in jail. And I did them 10 days with a smile on my face every single day. So you assaulted someone. And I enjoyed greatness says he only served 10 days in jail, but they took away his punctuation for life. Your sentence, life, with no punctuation. For a second I thought I was going to prison and never coming out. For this next one, sure, a hound who's been trained all his life to do one job made a false mark on a pizza instead of a real threat at an airport. Plus, his handler gave him a reward anyway, even though it goes against all service dog training. Today, at the airport, one of the drug dogs set off a false alarm and officers rushed over to find out the dog had alerted them for a piece of pizza. The handler just patted his head and goes, "It's okay, buddy. I know pizza always confuses you," and gave him his treat anyways. Cute little puppy dog eye emojis. For this next one, found on a random clickbait BuzzFeed article. Oh god, BuzzFeed. That's definitely how this works. Since I've run bookstores in the past, I tend to reorder the shelves at my local Barney's and Ignoble. What, are you not allowed to mention Barnes & Noble? I once spent 2 hours doing their history section. A manager came over, asked what I was doing, checked my work, walked away, then came back with a job application and a free drink from their cafe. Lovely. And for this next one, the only one to walk out still employed. When that happened to me, I walked in, manager asked, "Do you know why you're here?" And I figured, screw it, I'm fired anyway, and answered with, "What type of manager do you think you are? Do you know no one out there respects you? Half of them are afraid and only one wants you to be here, and that's because they hope you fire them?" She spent an hour trying to explain herself to me. It was friggin' weird. In the end, she moved my role up to the manager of my little group, which she shouldn't have. I was the newest member by years. I was the only one to walk out of there still employed, and I was an a-hole the whole time. I even told her she was a micromanager, with examples. She talked for ages trying to justify it. Ah yes, those females. They only want the a-holes to get promoted. For this next one, why do people fantasize about things like this? Who knows? That moment when you're in a restaurant trying to have breakfast whilst your 8-month-old son is crying and a boy, early 20, tuts muttering, "I'd wish she'd shut that thing up." Before I could even respond, his dad comes up behind him, clips him around the ear, and says, "What, and you think you were perfect? You were right, little sod. Now stop being a brat, go up there and apologize to her and offer to get her breakfast," as she clearly has her hands full. So I got my buffet breakfast with waiter service along with a lovely coffee. Thank you to that dad who even after 20-odd years still remembers the difficulty of being parents to babies. And now a kid proves teacher totally wrong by watching him catch fire and dislocate his shoulder. When I was in high school, my chemistry teacher demonstrated how electricity separates the oxygen and hydrogen atoms in water molecules. He had the complete setup and isolated the hydrogen in a fairly large glass container and capped it. Then he asked the magic question. If I was to drop a flame into this container, what would happen? "A fireball?" I responded. He snorted, rolls his eyes, and looked at the A student who only did well because he bought the teacher's edition of the textbook online. Wrong. Explain to a non-Y, Joey. Smart kid Joey scoffed at me and flippantly said, "Because it needs oxygen to combust. Duh." "Right," smirked my teacher. "There is no oxygen present in this container and therefore the flame will be deprived of fuel and go out." I couldn't believe their stupidity and just shook my head. Just before the fireball engulfed my teacher's face, burning off his eyebrows and causing him to throw himself backwards so hard he rolled over his lab table and fell off, dislocating his shoulder, I turned to my friend and whispered, "Gee, I wonder what the hydrogen is gonna mix with the second he opens that container." You'd think the teacher would have done this before. For this next one, a 7-year-old knows how to immediately deal with Jehovah's Witnesses. My 7-year-old answered the door Saturday morning as Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the door. They asked, "Is the man of the house available?" He knew their position on homosexuality. He looked at them and said, "Both of my dads are in bed. Let me go get one of them." He came back in about 3 minutes. They were gone and didn't show up for about 6 months. My boy, his mom didn't see the humor in this exchange, but I thought it was hilarious. Guys, today I screwed up. I shat myself at a party, hid it under a table, and a dog ate it. What? Okay, this is gonna be weird. So this happened yesterday at a party. Just so you know, I was not fully sober when this happened. It all started when I, 25-year-old male, was chilling at the bar. I got a shot of rosé and headed to my table, where my mates were sitting, all around 22 to 27, male and female. Also, a shot of rosé, isn't that a type of wine? After I take the shot so hardcore, at this point I think I was pretty pissed, so I didn't feel it that much. I mean, you're not gonna feel anything from one shot of wine. After talking for a bit, I feel a slight rumble in my stomach. Didn't think much of it at the time. I hit the dance floor and start grooving, having a good time. And holy shit, literally my whole body folds and suddenly a next level excrete makes an entrance. At this point, I'm shaking hard. To make it even better, I had one of my close friends, 23-year-old female, approaching me on the dance floor. I freeze and thinking quickly, I simply make a swift exit. Now the house we were at is huge. I run for the toilet, crap running faster than a 100-meter sprinter down my leg. Damn, must have been faster than Usain Bolt. This is when the crap really hits the fan, not literally. The damn toilet was locked. Drunk me, instead of waiting, I went over to one of the tables, a small coffee table, and well, you know what. After it was all under the table, I made my way back to the first table and sat down. A few hours later, we hear the owner of the house shouting at his dog. We soon found out that the dog was eating the excrement. The dog! At this point, the place reeked of a horrible smell and the party was officially over. I'm now at home but haven't slept since. What should I do? TLDR, I pooped myself at a party, hid it under a table, and a dog ate it. That's strange. It doesn't smell like your shit. It actually smells like bullshit. For this next one, shut up and get out of my head. Me, talking with a Brazilian coworker in Portuguese. Manager comes around. Do you speak Portuguese or Spanish? Me, both, and occasionally telepathy and empathy. Manager, seriously, who is this man? Me, I'm you, ma'am, human, and I know what you're thinking. Manager, oh yeah? What's that? Me, that I'm some sort of genius. Manager, shut up, get out of my head, crying emoji. Me, I'm not in your head, you are. Thoughts are just oxygen vibrating out in space, frequency, literally thin air, and we all breathing it. I simply have a different relationship with it. Coworker and manager? That face though. And it looks like most people reacted with laughing reactions, because this story is just a joke. This next one definitely, positively, 100% happened at Victoria's Secret with my girlfriend. She found a couple pieces of lingerie and headed to the fitting room. I walked in behind her. Employees said, "Excuse me, men are not allowed in the fitting room." I said, "What if I identify as a woman?" She paused. "Okay, right this way." And MikeAd99 says, as a man who's actually been in a Victoria's Secret dressing room, I can tell you that men are in fact allowed in there, though presumably not with another person probably. For this next one, that's quite the confession, must have been real difficult to talk about. Just picked up girlfriend like a sack of potatoes and bounced her on me. To paint the picture, she's considerably sturdier than me. I'm light-framed. She's not fat, curvy maybe, but not overweight. However, she's got about an inch on me height-wise and built like a damn bombshell. Rocking those double Ds, big hips, thick thighs, big butt, large frame, strong as a horse. She's got 30 pounds on me easy. She was sitting on my lap, we're face to face, and I just pick her up like a caveman and walk her around the room, bouncing her all the way. Did some squats with her on me, showing off. Got her so excited, she's laughing and grinding on me. Threw her on the bed and we fooled around a bit, and now she hot and ready for later. I felt like a savage. My real confession, I pulled a back muscle. Now I have to carry on all day like nothing's wrong. Hold on, babe, just a minute. I gotta post this on Reddit first. You know the rules. Reddit first, getting laid second. For this next one, Lord, forgive me for my sin of being on mobile, but this was far too good not to share. God, I'll never forget the times I've demolished kids when I was in school. If you'll allow me to reminisce, so to speak. Let's be frank first and say I'm no man of violence, nor do I ever find it okay to brag about hurting people, which sounds like that's exactly what you're about to do, but you get the idea if you're in there. I took martial arts into my very soul ever since I was like 5, and I damn well needed it. While there was only one a-hole here and there in my early childhood, when I moved at around 10, I had some ruthless bullies at my new school. I didn't have a choice. I had to crack some skulls, and I was damn good at it. Nearly broke a kid's neck on the playground. Pretty sure I punctured someone's lung in the bathroom. Never will forget the time I reversed this lanky-ass kid's wall choke on me, and nearly choked them out just after school. I didn't have many friends because I wasn't liked either way. Not because of my violence, I assure you, but I was respected towards the later days anyway. Well, that's enough rambling on my childhood. I hated yet hold so dear. Bottom line is, some people need to stand up way taller if they want to get places. When you're picked on, the only post that gets cut off is this one. And for this next one, why do I doubt that a kindergartner said this? My boy just had a conversation with me about how football is such a rough sport and that helmets are so important. He said that a player could look fine on the outside but have a concussion or a brain injury and not know about it. He also told me that scientists in the NFL are working together to make the sport safer for the players. I was astounded that he knew all of this. I asked him if he still wanted to play football and he said, duh, yes, this will just make me a smarter player. He also added that I should start referring to him as this name, 2 hearts. I just love my boy. I'm sure you do. For this next one, yes, that's exactly how adults behave in real life. Totally believable, and not at all incel behavior by blaming all women at the end. What's been happening more and more recently is that women have started coming up to us asking her if I'm bothering her. When she says that we're in a relationship, they ask her, WTF, why? They say how since she can have anyone she wanted, why would she ever choose to be with me? How she should leave me ASAP because she can do so much better. This has happened to me on 3 separate occasions in 3 different states, so you know this phenomenon is going on nationwide. The most recent time was last night and the girl was whispering in my girlfriend's ear. She literally pointed at me and did the pointing down the throat gag thing and then gave me a thumbs down. I want to reiterate that these women are complete strangers to us. Why do women feel like it's okay to walk up and judge people's relationships? Why is it okay in their minds to talk about me like this? In front of me, no less? And Nefariousness Quiet 22 comments, the only reason I could see that actually happening was if he was acting in a way that warranted a hey sis check. Yelling at her, being aggressive, her looking extremely uncomfortable. I doubt they're making judgment calls on the relationship unless he's being 1000% obvious jerk. Yeah, funny how he doesn't share what he's been doing. And for this last one, it was 5-on-1. I don't know if this guy tried to write as unconvincingly as possible, or... Fun story. I was famous in my high school for being the skinny guy who don't fight nobody, and I was bullied a lot because of it and got rejected twice. I was sad and planned on leaving the school. But then one day I was going through some hard times in my family and the bullies come towards me and started to piss me off and I couldn't take it anymore. So I punched the biggest guy of them all. I'm 6'2", 60 kilograms at the time. And everyone started attacking me, but shockingly I was able to beat the living hell out of all of them. It was 5-on-1, and everyone was looking at me throwing haymakers at the famous bullies for 5 minutes. Then the principal came, and I was suspended for a week, and a bloody hand and a fractured jaw. I don't know what happened to the bullies, but just know that 3 out of the 5 had to go to the hospital. After that, I was known as the most peaceful, unpeaceful kid. Then I was back at school with some scars on my knuckles and everyone started respecting me, and most importantly, I started having friends, and soon after had a girlfriend, and the bullies were suspended once and for all. What a story. What a way to end it. Anyway, I'd like to thank all of my patrons, especially Crangus McBiscuitbowl, Dark Garden, Duck2, The Return of Duck, Fake Corbus, Jay Demby, Kettle and Cormedy Nightcrawler, Spoony the Rogue Benjamins, and Vicmeister 1999. You can join in the link below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like. If you have something interesting to say, don't forget to comment. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification bell. See you guys next time.